Top 10 monsters from the Cthulhu Mythos. Explained. The Cthulhu Mythos is a name coined by August Derleth, who was the first to publish Lovecraft's work and the founder of Arkham House Publishing. But what is it really? Well, simply, the Cthulhu Mythos is sort of like a self-contained literary universe, ruled by a pantheon of fearsome deities, many of whom resemble insectoid or aquatic creatures, or rather monsters. The name is obviously derived from Lovecraft's most famous character, Cthulhu, who's the subject of the story The Call of Cthulhu, first published in Weird Tales in 1926. In the story, Cthulhu is described as a composite of an octopus, a dragon, and a human caricature. A pulpy, tentacled head surmounted a grotesque and scaly body with rudimentary wings. He's described as a god who will slumber in the sea, with humanity living in constant fear that he'll awaken. Now, we all love Cthulhu and all monsters in general. And since H.P. Lovecraft stories are full of all kinds of unknowable creatures, well, we thought, why not compile a list of the 10 best monsters? And so here we are. So let's not waste any time and get right into it, because today we'll be counting down our picks of the top 10 monsters from the Cthulhu Mythos. And let's begin. Number 10. Nodans. Nodans, or the Lord of the Great Abyss, is a deity and elder god. He's the lord and master of the Night Gaunts, a race of strange flying creatures. We saw Nodans making his first appearance in Lovecraft's short story, The Strange High House in the Mist, published in 1926. This character is based on a Celtic god who's of course also named Nodans, who was actually worshipped in ancient Britain. Appearance-wise, the god looks like a fierce old man with gray hair and a long beard. He's said to ride in a chariot constructed out of a gigantic seashell, and the whole thing is pulled by mythical beasts. Nodans also appears in the story The Dream Quest of Unknown Cadav. Number 9. Liukethu. Liukethu is a globe of guts and entrails that's said to be the size of a planet. It's said to be the birth womb of the Great Old Ones, described as a titanic, planet-sized mass of entrails and internal organs. On closer examination, it appears a wet, warty globe, covered with countless ovoid pustules and spiderwebbed with a network of long, narrow tunnels. Each pustule bears the larva of a Great Old One. It's currently unknown how often these entities reach maturity, but given the power and malevolence of a single Great Old One, it must be hoped that this is not a regular occurrence. Number 8. Kesava. Kesava, the bride of Cthulhu and the Leviathan of diseases, is not only Cthulhu's second bride, but also his sister who bore him the twin daughters Nyctosa and Nyctolu. Incest seems a minor horror in the Lovecraft universe, but it's pretty gross nonetheless and shows that Great Old Ones' family trees are pretty messed up. As for Kesava herself, her abilities are ill-defined, but she can grab her victims with her tendrils and yank them in to devour them whole. She appears as a huge mass of writhing, coiled tentacles, which are capable of extending to astonishing lengths, thus ensuring her prey has no chance of escape or concealment. Her title as the Leviathan of Diseases is evident in where she poisons the waters that she inhabits. Kesava is also noted for particularly being bad-tempered and violent, causing other Old Ones to tread carefully around her. Number 7. Shoggoth. Shoggoths are amorphous creatures composed of a malleable protoplasm, something akin to a colossal amoeba. They're capable of forming whatever organs or appendages they require for the task at hand, although their usual state is a writhing mass of eyes, mouths, and wriggling tentacles. The Shoggoths were created by the Elder Things as a slave race. They have tremendous strength and are nearly invincible against forms of physical attack. Eventually, they developed a consciousness of their own and rebelled against the Elder Things, resulting in them roaming the dark spaces of the world in the modern day. Number 6. Yog-Sothoth. Yog-Sothoth, also known as the Feaster from the Stars and that which relentlessly waits outside, is a malevolent outer god who wishes nothing more than the destruction of mankind for reasons unknown. He waits in his home dimension in Furcard until he's summoned to Earth. When first summoned, Yog-Sothoth appears as a small ball of fire that quickly expands to a large circle of fire with 3 flaming inner petals. The reptilian burrowing folk, the Rigantu, are known to worship this malignant deity. Sounds sort of like David Ickey's theory of alternative reptilian races controlling the universe. Number 5. UgallaKnack. For those who read of evil and search for it in forms in their minds, call forth evil, and so may UgallaKnack return to walk among men. UgallaKnack, also known as the Defiler or the God of Depravity and Perversion, is a creature recurrent in the Cthulhu Mythos. This foul living presence actually happens to be one of the great old ones, and UgallaKnack is an entity so feared that the Cthulhu cult is noted to hold him in contempt. Like Voldemort, sometimes UgallaKnack is summoned by the mere utterance of his name, and he can also shift shape to live amongst humans. He often appears as a fat man with neither head nor neck, and mouths in the palms of his hands. And the most important thing you should know about this monster is that he is pure evil. In fact, if we're talking in evil terms, he's the most evil in our list today. Number 4. Dagon. A deity who rules over the deep ones, Father Dagon, as he's called by his worshippers, is an enormous specimen of deep one that's been mentioned in texts since ancient times. He's worshipped as a deity by a devout cult of both humans and deep ones. While apparently immortal, his longevity may be attributed to his fraternization with the Starspawn, who sometimes select formidable specimens from a given species to protect, nurture, and empower for reasons known only to them. Dagon is in fact an entirely corporal being whose great age contributes to its massive size. Number 3. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth is another incomprehensible being. It defies visualization. Like many Lovecraftian gods, Yog Sothoth has many different appearances throughout the various stories of the mythos by various authors. However, there seems to be a common agreement that Yog Sothoth visually manifests as a mass of glowing orbs with eyes or tendrils in some versions, and in others simply the orbs. He's known to be one of the most powerful of the outer gods, a race of ancient deities who wield great power, size, and intelligence, equal and possibly even superior to Azathoth himself, as well as the largest and most intelligent, dwarfing the famous Cthulhu in the same scale that Cthulhu dwarfs humanity, and is a truly cosmic menace that is beyond mortal comprehension. Yog Sothoth is the embodiment of all of time and space across an essentially infinite number of space-time continuums. For all intents and purpose, he's connected to the multiverse. He's the grandfather of Cthulhu and the grandson of Azathoth. Number 2. Azathoth. The blind idiot god, Azathoth is basically a sentient singularity, sitting at the very center of the universe. Azathoth lies constantly in a deep slumber, kept there by other powerful deities who constantly sing to the creature to keep him in his induced eternal hibernation. For if Azathoth were ever to awaken, the entire universe would end just like that. All it would need is a moment where it opens its eyes and boom, everything's gone. Azathoth, also known as the blind idiot god or nuclear chaos, is an extremely powerful but intellectually limited cosmic entity, whose first appearance in a published Lovecraft story was in The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, and is also referenced in the stories The Whisperer in Darkness and The Haunter of the Dark. Azathoth is said to float in the center of the universe, perpetually kept in a state of slumber. Less powerful gods lull Azathoth to sleep with cosmic drums and flutes. The deity resembles a sort of demonic cloud formation. It's said that if Azathoth were to awaken for merely a moment, he could potentially destroy the human race. So, before we reveal our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Mordigian, Yig, Glacky, Yibsel. Number 1, Nyarlathotep. And where Nyarlathotep went, rest vanished, for the small hours were rent with screams of nightmare. Nyarlathotep, also known as Crawling Chaos, is an evil, shape-shifting god who is said to be capable of assuming 1,000 unique forms. Like virtually every other beast within the Cthulhu mythos, Nyarlathotep is so frightening that the very sight of him is enough to drive a human onlooker insane. Don't fail to see Nyarlathotep if he comes to Providence. He's horrible, horrible beyond anything you can imagine, but wonderful. He haunts one for hours afterwards. I'm still shuddering at what he showed. The being of pure darkness dwelling, possessing a three-lobed eye, in the steeple of the Starry Wisdom Sex Church, is identified as another form, or manifestation, of Nyarlathotep. So, that's all for today. Which monsters from the Cthulhu mythos will make your top 10? Do let us know in the comments section below, and also if you want to keep watching more videos like these, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you around in the next one.